happy Thursday morning, February 18, 2021. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Thursday morning edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Thursday morning, so let's begin. First up, we're going to begin with a look at your weather. We have some light snow headed into New Hampshire. Another round of snow. That'll be coming in Thursday evening into the day Friday. With more on that, let's go to meteorologist Mike Haddad with a weather report.
I think what sets us apart is the fact that our technicians live and breathe only chimneys. It's not a part of our company, it is our company.
Thank you very much for joining us, Stormwatch 9, Weather on the Web. Another weekend approaching, but before we get there, there's one more system that we're tracking that will likely throw some light snow our way Thursday night through Friday evening. At this point, it's a long, drawn-out kind of nuisance event. Not a whole lot of accumulation, maybe a few inches south, lesser to the north, but it may make roads a little bit slick from time to time during this time. Out ahead of it, fair skies with some clouds on the increase tomorrow and a mostly dry and chilly weekend. Speaking of chilly, overnight tonight, near zero north, teens on south with lighter winds and increasing high clouds. However, even though skies are fair on average a good part of this Wednesday night, here comes the next storm with a lot of snow and ice, even rain, down in the deep south. As the storm approaches, it looks like the jet stream is going to drive this thing off to the south of New England far enough so the steadiest of the snow, and you can see it on Futurecast, remains off to our south. Tomorrow, light onshore wind may result in a few flurries or a spotty light snow shower during the afternoon, early evening. Any of the steadiest of the light snow, if we do get in on that, would occur late Thursday evening through the middle part of Friday night. And then it would all move out off to the east. Also notice the darker blues off to our south, indicating that's where a lot of the lift in the atmosphere is. That translates to heavier snow. And because of that, the amounts should not be all that impressive. And also keep in mind, this will be strung out over about 24 hours. So a little bit of light snow here or there may add up to a dusting to possibly an inch or two in and around the area from the Lakes region, the Upper Valley points north, and from Concord south. 2, 3, 4 inches of snow with a spot near 5. If the storm does track a little bit closer, of course, these amounts could go up a little bit. In the wake of this system, partial sun, a few flurries scattered about on Saturday, peskier snow showers in the mountains, breezy and seasonably chilly, more sun on Sunday, maybe another bout of some light snow by Monday afternoon.
Okay, and there you go on that weather forecast from meteorologist Mike Haddad. And now let's take a look at your traffic this morning. And here's a live look at your morning traffic this morning. In Henniker, you're seeing smooth sailing with some medium-paced traffic. Hopkinton, medium-paced traffic with some smooth sailing. Both Pembroke and Concord, some medium-paced traffic with smooth sailing. Boston and Canterbury, medium-paced traffic. Chichester, smooth sailing. Epsom, smooth sailing with a little bit of medium-paced traffic. Northwood, smooth sailing with some medium-paced traffic. And Lee, smooth sailing with a little bit of medium-paced traffic. In Durham, smooth sailing. Rochester, medium-paced traffic with some smooth sailing. Somersworth, medium-paced traffic with some smooth sailing. In Dover, medium-paced traffic with some smooth sailing. Newington, medium-paced traffic with some smooth sailing. And Portsmouth, medium-paced traffic with little tiny spots of smooth sailing. Portsmouth and Tulane, smooth sailing with medium-paced traffic. In Rye, you have smooth sailing. Northampton, smooth sailing. Hampton, smooth sailing. Seabrook, smooth sailing. And Clearwater, Massachusetts. On 101, great ride on 101. Smooth sailing on 101 with some little spots of medium-paced traffic in the Exeter area and around the Raymond area on 101. And then around Manchester and Hursley area, smooth sailing with some medium-paced traffic. Bedford, smooth sailing with some medium-paced traffic. Amherst, smooth sailing with some medium-paced traffic. And Milford, smooth sailing with some medium-paced traffic. Manchester, Merrimack, Nashua, and to the border of Massachusetts, smooth sailing with some spots of medium-paced traffic. Nashua, Milford, smooth sailing with little tiny spots of medium-paced traffic. Manchester, Derry, Londonderry, Windham, Salem, and to the border of Massachusetts, all smooth sailing with some spots of medium-paced traffic. And take a look at your traffic cam in Salem, New Hampshire, Route 28 at Rockingham, Toyota. And as you can see, no cars in sight right now. It's very quiet this early morning. And that is a look at your morning traffic this morning. And now let's take a look at your COVID-19 numbers in New Hampshire. And here's a look at those COVID-19 numbers in New Hampshire. There are 76,965 number of people in New Hampshire have tested positive for COVID-19. There are 1,148 number of deaths from COVID-19 in New Hampshire. There are 126 current number of hospitalizations for COVID-19 in New Hampshire. And that is a look at your COVID-19 numbers in New Hampshire. "12 more Granite Staters die of COVID-19. Hospitalizations increase." 12 more Granite Staters have died of COVID-19 in New Hampshire, the highest daily total announced since January 31st. Health officials said 5 of the deaths were associated with long-term care facilities, and all were age 60 or older. And also hospitalizations are increasing. Governor urges continued vigilance as state begins planning for next phase of vaccinations. Speed of vaccinations depends on increasing supplies, Sununu says. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Adam Sexton.
Does your boiler or furnace vent into your chimney? The majority of chimney flues in New Hampshire are actually...
Governor Gov Sununu says work is underway now on the eventual transition to Phase 2A of the COVID-19 vaccination process, which will start with the registration of teachers and child care workers.
We won't make any firm decisions about how that's going to roll out. We're talking about it now, but we won't make anything public probably for a couple more weeks, a few more weeks.
The state is still trying to expedite first dose appointments of Granite Staters in Phase 1B. Many of them have qualifying medical conditions and are eager to move up.
I tell folks, pick up your phone. If you have a schedule in April, pick up your phone because we're likely calling to move you up.
The governor says hospitalizations and fatalities are still on a downward trend. If that continues and then holds steady at a low enough level, some pandemic restrictions could be eased.
We're looking to make sure that we can bring those numbers down and make sure they're sustainable. And by matching that with the vaccine distribution in our most vulnerable population, there's no reason to think that those numbers can't be achieved, they can't be sustainable, and therefore sometime in the late winter, early spring, we're looking at undoing the restrictions. I've always said Memorial Day is a good marker for us, but hopefully it'll be a lot sooner than that.
The governor urges those who might be losing hope or growing weary of masks and social distancing to see how far they've come over the last 11 months and not give up. But he says it's very important to maintain vigilance for a while longer.
We're not asking folks to hold out till Christmas. No, we're talking about another couple of months, but we have to stay disciplined. This is still a very cold time. And if we take the masks off and we don't adhere to, I think, a lot of the standards we've set for ourselves, we could go very backwards very, very easily.
The governor tells us he held a call today with university system leaders to discuss the spikes occurring on several campuses around the state. He says it looks like the cause is universally behavioral, just too many large gatherings, and he believes now that the restrictions in place will bring those infections under control. Reporting live in Concord, Adam Sexton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Man charged in Manchester shooting death found in Massachusetts. Timothy Johnson accused of shooting Jean outside emergency shelter. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Over time, the flue tiles inside your chimney may become damaged from water, age, or even a chip.
Now we have some breaking news. The Attorney General has just announced the suspect in this weekend's deadly shooting in Manchester is in custody. Timothy Johnson was arrested this afternoon in Framingham, Massachusetts. He'll be in court there tomorrow on stolen vehicle, fugitive from justice, as well as other charges. Here in New Hampshire, Johnson facing a count of second-degree murder for the death of Jean Lachelle on Chestnut Street Saturday morning.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Long-term care residents, staff could determine safety of vaccine, health officials say. Officials say survey shows growing anticipation of safety, efficiency of vaccine. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
When it's time to invest in a new roof, be smart and look at more factors than just the final price. Not all roofs are the same.
Talking with long-term care providers, state health officials highlighted a recent CDC study about public attitudes toward vaccinations, saying that more people tend to be coming around to the idea that it's a safe and effective way out of the pandemic.
10% more September to December stated that they were absolutely certain or very likely to get vaccine. Somewhat likely brings that up to 68%.
Public health officials say long-term care residents and staff can be ambassadors for the vaccine. And as more positive news comes from those who have been vaccinated, hopefully more people will agree to take it. There were also several questions today about masks. In particular, is double masking recommended?
Really sort of focusing here on improving the fit and not necessarily double masking, or meaning it doesn't have to be done through double masking, but the purpose of double masking is to improve the fit, not necessarily add more layers.
There were also questions about travel, especially since a new variant of the coronavirus was recently found in the state.
The patient with the variant identified in New Hampshire was related to international travel, and everything seemed to have gone right in terms of the processes the person adhered to, and then public health contact tracing promptly identified no community exposures.
Public health officials say that, simply put, right now, travel is not recommended, especially international travel. Putting live, Mandy Hirschberger, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. First responders describe growing need for mental health services. Police officers, firefighters say they're dealing with stress from pandemic. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Does your boiler or furnace vent into your chimney? The majority of chimney flues in New Hampshire are actually...
Those working on the front lines of the pandemic were telling Senator Maggie Hassan today about what life has been like over the past year.
I don't think a shift goes by that I don't hear a colleague share some real concerns and burdens of their emotional burnout and fatigue of what they're dealing with.
The Franklin police chief says officers are going through something similar.
The COVID issue has stressed everybody to the max, not only within the healthcare field, and certainly they too are very, very affected. but here as well.
The chief of the Portsmouth Police Department sees the stress from his officers on a daily basis.
Taking the risk of going out and doing your job, and you have the potential of being exposed, and then bringing that home to your family, how it affects your family.
The concerns are the same here at the Manchester Fire Department. They've dealt with more than 24 cases of COVID-19, and on top of that, a large amount of mental health calls.
The volume of mental health calls that we respond to are, it's really stunning. It's a ton of mental health calls, suicide calls, those types of things.
Russell Conti works as a peer counselor for state police, but will serve any agency. He says calls for service have increased dramatically.
We have destigmatized, the need for help. We have made people feel comfortable in knowing that it's okay to not be okay.
Conti says many agencies have their own mental health resources, but the need for expanded access across New Hampshire is needed now and after the pandemic is over.
When we come out of this, there is an anticipation that there'll be an increase in these numbers, and I think that's going to be interesting to watch.
Kristen Carosa, WMUR News Now.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Mount Washington Avalanche Center warns of risk after experienced skier dies in avalanche. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
The National Fire Protection Association says you should get your chimney inspected and cleaned every year. Caesar.
These are some of the last photos Ian Forgaze ever took. Rescuers say they paint a picture of the conditions the 54-year-old Vermonter faced before backcountry skiing alone into the Ammonoosuc Ravine. 2 days later, rescuers found him dead, buried in an avalanche debris pile, 13 feet deep.
He was wearing an avalanche beacon, so we were able to find him. By all accounts, just a really good skier.
It shows that even a well-equipped, incredibly accomplished skier like Forgaze can succumb to an avalanche. He'd skied Mount Washington hundreds of times, even earning the nickname Skiin' Ian. And he chose a day when the avalanche risk was rated low. But the Mount Washington Avalanche Center reminds low danger doesn't mean no danger.
Our snowpack changes day to day really rapidly due to wind conditions on Mount Washington. So we can just have 1 or 2 inches of snow that can generate an avalanche that's 1 or 2 feet thick.
The MWAC says Forgaze likely hit what's known as a terrain trap, or a flat area in the trail where deep snow had piled up, triggering an avalanche. Then an overnight nor'easter dumped even more snow.
With an avalanche that deep with just the 10 people there digging, we're moving many, many tons of snow, literally tons of snow.
The MWAC is approaching its busiest season for avalanche rescues, March and April. They say checking daily conditions and avalanche risk in the White Mountains is critical. Monica Hernandez, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. FBI investigating Andrew Cuomo's handling of nursing homes during pandemic. The FBI and federal prosecutors in Brooklyn are investigating Governor Andrew Cuomo's coronavirus task force, with particularly focus on his administration's handling of nursing homes early in the coronavirus pandemic. 2 sources familiar with the matter told ABC News. And that is it for this morning edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. Thank you for joining us. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.